Alright, apologies in advance for my setup. I don't really have enough space and I don't have a tripod, so you might notice in my last video I did, I have the same problems, but let's try to do our best anyway. So, for our Magician's deck, I'm going to start with the core of the deck, which I think like any variant of Magicians should have, regardless if you're using Perform Mages, Pure, Odd-Eyes, Majespecter, like whatever, you need these cards. Sorcerer should be given, it searches out all our cards. 3 Wisdom Eye, same reason, searches out all our cards. 3 Oafdragons. I should have mentioned, these were all 3 ofs for the last ones too. 3 of Oafdragon 2. Some people run 2. I use 3 because I'm really paranoid about losing my Dragonpits. And having Oafdragon and Dragonpit as your scales means you basically get a free spell and trap destruction every turn. Which brings us to the next one, 3 Dragonpits. And 3 Pendulum Calls. 1 Xiangke. So Xiangke lets us make Rebellion if you choose to run it. Otherwise, it's just another good skill 3 that you can add because Pendulum Call can only add different names. So if you want a low scale and a high scale, but you want to be able to special summon the Peasant Dragon Magician, then you'll add Xiangke and you'll have Xiangke and Dragonpit in your hand at the end, and you can set Xiangke and Dragonpit and special summon Peasant Dragon to add back a Magician. That's why I only run one of him. He's not that good. Like, he has his uses, obviously, especially against Cosmos. He can mess with Slip Rider quite a bit because of his monster effect. That's all to say about that. This is the core that I think you should be running for any Magician deck. Protect Dragonpit a lot because he's your only high scale unless you choose to run one of the Gazer Magicians. I forget which one was the scale 8. But you gotta protect that. Like, I always recycle Dragonpit over Insight if I had the choice with Peasant Dragon, because Insight just searches useful stuff. Its scale actually isn't that useful for Odd-Eyes Magicians, but Dragonpit is the only high scale you have. So just make sure you always have one at your ready. If you play against Magicians, destroy Dragonpit, because like if they have the top deck, then it's extremely unlikely that they're able to get a Dragonpit compared to like an Insight or Xiangke. I also run 1 copy of Dragonpulse. If there's any card I would take out from my deck, it would be Dragonpulse. I only run it because of its synergy of Ebon Illusion Magician, and I don't want to be attacking with Dragonpit. I'm afraid of how this is going to show up on the camera, but 3 Platinum Secret Rare Odd-Eyes Pendulums. You can cut it down to 2 for sure. I just use 3. I should separate these piles. I should mention, this is for the Odd-Eyes build only. If you're not using the Odd-Eyes build, don't use these cards. I'll talk about the other choices later on. I'll just keep on going for now with Odd-Eyes build. 1 Nobledragon. She shuffles back into the deck if she's tuned with something that's not an Odd-Eyes monster. She's recurable from the grave, and she's really easy to search out, and you pretty much never want to draw her, so just use one of her. I see some people using 2 or 3. That's really bad, because you never really want to draw Nobledragon. Like, as soon as you get her in her hand, I always discard her with Dragonpit, because I really never want her in my hand. Because at least from the grave, she can come back for free. Like, there's no reason to have her in your hand ever. Unless you desperately need her for the scale 5. 1 Odd-Eyes Fusion. Some people run more than 1. The reason I only use 1 is because I actually like having this card in my hand, but the problem is it's searchable with our 2 Sky Irises. And the problem with Odd-Eyes Fusion is that if you use it, like, if you just use it as a fusion card, you can only use 1 per turn anyway. And you have to go -2 to use it, even though like technically summoning Vortex puts you +1. If you summon it using the extra deck effect, like sending Odd-Eyes cards from your extra deck to the grave instead of using cards in your field or hand, then the problem is you actually don't have enough Odd-Eyes monsters in your extra deck. The extra deck for this is really tight, and I had a problem building it because there was too many cards I wanted to use, and I opted to run less of the Odd-Eyes Xyz because I found that I never really needed to make them all that often. But that's the reason I only use 1, simply because you do not have the extra deck space to use more than 1. Because that means running more vortexes, more of the chose. Like for each Odd-Eyes Fusion, you'd optimally want to run 3 cards in your extra deck, and that is crazy. Like, especially after Infinity comes out in Botch, it's crazy. Move this to the side. Tech choices for Odd-Eyes Magicians. 3 Apex Avian. Some people only run 2 because it bricks. I've actually never had that problem, really. So, make of it what you will. I only use 2 Majespecter Unicorns. Some people like to use 3. I could definitely see why they use 3. I would use 3 if I could make any changes to this deck. I'd like if I didn't like Ebon Illusion Magicians so much. If I was not playing Odd-Eyes Magicians, I'd take out my Dragonpulse Magician and cut it for my 3rd Majespecter Unicorn. My camera is having some trouble focusing with the lighting. Sorry about that. Just, let's see. 3 Wavering Eyes. I originally did not want to main this card at all. I originally wanted to side out, like, at least one of them. I do not like maining 3 Wavering Eyes in this deck. Like, it doesn't help the deck that much. I underestimated this card. I originally wanted to run none of it, but like running none of it is just stupid. Like just one of it was good because Peasant Dragon. I was wrong. Okay, I'll admit I was very wrong about Wavering Eyes in this deck. Originally, I felt like there's no reason to use this card because you never had a way to like rebuild your scale. But like, if you have a scale, like, I don't know how I feel about this card. I would still maybe run only 1 or 2 of it. I don't believe it should be at 3 in this deck, but like I believe you have to run at least 1 copy of this card. It's too good. Like, it's busted. It needs to be. I wish this card would get banned. It makes Pendulum format a total joke. But yeah, I choose main deck 3 because of deck space, honestly. It's not even main deck space, it was side deck space. There's a lot of cards I wanted in my side deck, and I wanted to have 3 Wavering Eyes in the main and side. That was the main priority for me, but I did not want to have, like, there were so many cards I wanted to side in, so I had a lot of free main deck space, actually. So I just main decked my 3 Wavering Eyes, and it's not that bad considering we're going to be entering Performage format, but I don't like maining 3 Wavering Eyes, I'll say that much. 1 or 2 seems to be a better ratio in my opinion. Unless you're going to go to Pendulum heavy locals or regional, something like that, and for sure 3 Wavering Eyes main decked always. Such a good card. Denko Sekka, just the 1 copy in the main deck, just in case we run into a lot of back row. That's really more than I need. I don't know what to say about this. I liked it every time I drew it. I sometimes wish I drew it, and there were more times that I was hoping not to draw it than I've actually drawn it. So, like, at 1, I draw it every time I need it. Sometimes I wish I ran more. Sometimes, most of the time, I wish I didn't. But like every single time I drew it, it was good. So I just used the 1 copy for that reason. Like, it's just the 1 copy to hold on to in case my opponent decides to set it off back row. 3 Veilers. You gotta run 3 Veilers in this format. Like, a lot of people like Ghost Ogre. I'm not buying Ghost Ogre. It's too expensive. And I'm also not a big fan of Ghost Ogre because it does not negate monster effects. And not being able to negate Ignister or, like, there's just so much stuff you want to be able to negate that. Like Skullcrobat Joker, for example. I want to negate Skullcrobat Joker. I want to negate Meteorburst. I want to negate Rebellion. I guess you could Ghost Ogre Meteorburst and Rebellion type. Well, you can't Veiler Meteorburst. Well, I mean, you can't Ghost Ogre Meteorburst if they don't summon. But it's just more benefit. There's so much more stuff you can hit with Veiler than Ghost Ogre. So that's why I chose to main deck 3 Veiler with 3 Ghost Ogre. 2 MSTs to hit Floodgates. 1 Raigeki just to clear the board. We have really good OTKs, so that's why I chose to main 1 Raigeki. It also gets over the Cosmo Dark Destroyer because the difference between Destroyer and Eclipser and Forerunner is 200 attack. That's a huge difference because that means I can now absolute it. I can run over to Ignister. Like, there's so much. The difference is so huge for this deck, at least. Usually, it's not that big of a difference. Warning to negate stuff like Warning and Torrential. These are like basically like mass removal for Pendulum format. Like like Great Horn of Heaven, sure, that's good too. But like these 2 are the main traps I want to be running to negate mass summoning. So it punishes them a lot for overextending with the Pendulum summons, especially Warning because the Pendulums go to the grave. All right, now for the extra deck, I use two vortexes. Sorry, one I use for fusion. The other one I use for my absolute dragon because absolute dragon can summon it back when it's can summon a vortex when it goes to the grave. Um, One Meteorburst just for stopping the effects in the graveyard during the battle phase. So that's really good in Cosmos and even Performage Magicians too. So it stops their Trick Clown from triggering. I was really wanting to run two of these, and I figured I wasn't really summoning it that much anyway, so I'm only using one. You can summon it back with Absolute as long as it doesn't get bottomless or something. I'm worried about Cosmos though, because that's a legitimate concern for me. Ignister, such a broken card. You need at least one if you're using a Pendulum deck. I know I don't use any Draco Slayers in my build, but the idea is you just use Veiler or Glow Up Bulb and a Odd-Eyes. Like I use 3 Veilers, like the chances of me drawing one it's kind of decent, I guess. And the idea of that is you just tune them, make Ignister. You have to pop one of your scales or your opponent's scales. You can pop your opponent's scales too, so don't forget that. Or you could pop your your own pendulum monsters. So you can't go like hugely plus, but it gets over Dark Destroyer and the other Cosmo ships, which is what matters, and that's why I run him. Big Eye, just a really good rank 7, steals stuff. I don't know what else to say about him. Like, he steals games, it clears the field and lets you do a lot of damage, especially if they have a really high beater on the field as their only monster. Absolute, I only use one of him for his graveyard effect and to negate attacks and stuff like that. Like, it's not that good of a card. I found myself mainly going to him to summon Rebellion or to like try and bait my opponent and destroying it so I could summon my second vortex or something like that. Abyss Dweller stops graveyard effects, same reasoning as Meteorburst. I didn't really make this card that often because like mainly what I wanted to get rid of for the graveyard effects were Cosmos ships. I don't really have anything to attack over Cosmos ships, so I make Abyss Dweller. So I didn't really make Abyss Dweller that often. Trapeze Magician, or what I like to call like the one card OTK maker. This card is so good in Odd-Eyes because basically if your opponent has monsters on the field and you use Trapeze Magician on a Odd-Eyes, then they have some problems because Odd-Eyes will double the battle damage. This card is just really good in general for making game-ending boards from just 2 level 4s and maybe some beaters. Castel, we still need him even in a non-targeting format because he gets rid of Floodgates and Pendulum Scales. Flare Metal steals games like crazy. I want to see if there's a way to get this art to show on a camera, but I don't think it's going to happen. His effect is crazy. I really like him. He's won me some games, but I don't know. He's just I'd say if there was a card I had to cut in my extra deck, I'd say it'd probably be Flare Metal because he's good, but not that good. But like I personally really love this card. He punishes a lot of decks really bad, especially Performage Magicians, because I have to use a lot of effects to get rid of him. Like I'm sorry, I can't really do a good analysis of him. But, like I don't know, like I can't really pin out why he's good. But like all I know is that he's a really good card, and I really like having him in my deck, and I wouldn't take him out like at all. But like, actually, I retract my earlier statement. If I had to take out a card, I'd probably say Abyss Dweller because I've already run a lot of removal, for like in the form of like Meteorburst. Maybe Ignister because it's kind of like inconsistent to summon, which I will admit. I just run it just in case I need to summon him. Number 39, Utopia Beyond. What an amazing card. Like, if your opponent has 2 monsters on the field, even if it's like Cosmo, if your opponent has 2 monsters on the field, they will lose when a Utopia Beyond is summoned. Because if your opponent's attack to 0, you have an Odd-Eyes on the field. Odd-Eyes doubles battle damage. So summon Peasant and Unicorn, or just 2 Unicorns or just 2 Peasant. Attack of use Utopia Beyond's effect. Reduce your opponent's attacks to 0. Attack with Beyond, attack with Odd-Eyes, like not even 2 monsters, just 1 monster. Just attack with Odd-Eyes, double battle damage to 5,000, attack directly with Utopia Beyond, and that's game right there. Such a good card for this deck. More people should run it. I don't know why I didn't run in the OCG. There might be a good reason for it. I have no idea, but like it's just such a good card in the deck, especially for the Cosmo matchup, because not even Dark Destroyer can get around this. Norito, the Moral Leader, negates one spell or trap. I usually use this if my opponent's starting to run out of cards, like they need to resolve, like if they need to resolve their emergency teleport or their Raigeki or something like that, then Norito will stop it. Ebon Illusion Magician. This is the reason I run Dragon Pulse Magician. Only had one though. It's so good. You can rank it up from Norito. It has to target, but it does banish the card, so it's really good against Perform Mages. Remember, it's banishing one card too, so I can banish the scales of a Perform Mage player, which is what's really important. And our hot tech is gonna be Triple D Dual Dawn King Kali Yuga. This card is an absolute blast to summon. We summon him with our side deck, which I'll get into right now. We use him because of his high attack and his incredibly decisive effect against Perform Mages when he's summoned. Like, you get rid of two of your opponent's Xyz monsters, pop their scales, and there's just like, it's very hard for any deck, even Perform Mages, to come back from that. Like, regardless of what you might think, it's even hard for Perform Mages to come back from that. And our side deck, how we summon Kali Yuga? Good question. Our two XYZ Universes. Three Royal Decree. I use 3 Royal Decree. Oh, sorry. I use 3 Royal Decree because Royal Decree will stop floodgates that are already on the field. But Denko Sekka won't. 3 Imperial Iron Wall. This will stop the Cosmo matchup. And I know a lot of Perform Mage players in the TCG like to run Sci-Frame Lord Omega, so that'll stop that too. I'm also mildly concerned about heroes, because Dark Law can banish our scales when we pop them for like Ignister or Sky Iris. And this will basically stop that. Sorry, I dropped a card. The third MST, popping floodgates. I'm not really worried about like anything in particular in this deck. I think this deck can hold its own against most decks, other than maybe Burning Abyss because of Fire Lake. But Burning Abyss is kind of neutered now, so I don't know how to feel. So like, I don't know if I actually need to prepare for that. But mainly, what I'm worried about for this deck is floodgates, because stuff like Anti-Spell Fragrance, Secret Village of the Spellcasters. That's what's gonna kill you. Maxx C, 3 of it. In case I need to draw into my floodgates, my floodgate outs, my removal. Maxx C will help with that against any deck that special summons a lot. Perform Mage loves to special summon, so I'll definitely be using Maxx C against them. Because even if you Veiler them, Maxx C will still do a lot of work because they don't really rely on one monster in particular. Like, maybe if they have a bad hand, they need to resolve Skullcrabat, but generally speaking, Maxx C, even if you negate their effects with Veiler, they'll still summon a lot. If they take the Maxx C challenge, that is. My hot tech, Breaker, the Magical Warrior. I use this because it pops Anti-Spell Fragrance. Magicians aren't too reliant on their normal summon. And, yeah, that's about it. It's like, it's a Floodgate Destroyer that most Floodgates aren't prepared for. Like, Anti-Spell Fragrance will stop MST for a turn, and that turn can make the difference. So Breaker would get rid of that Anti-Spell Fragrance and let me do whatever I want. On my turn, like, I can just summon it and pop the Anti-Spell Fragrance or the Macrocosmos or whatever. Like, there's no cards being banished here. So I would run 2 about space. Breaker is such a good card for the side deck. Most people don't ever expect it. And finally, our last 2 Denko Sekkas, just for back row decks. I'm really scared of mass removal, especially stuff like Grand Horn of Heaven, and coming up will be Solemn Notice and stuff like that. We don't have to worry about that right now, but I am worried about it for when they come out. And so I'll come back and talk about some techs for some other builds like Majespecter Magicians or Performage Magicians. I just noticed my desk is really dirty. Like, that's all dust because I push my keyboard back. I don't usually like look at that part. Alright, so let's talk about some techs for other. If you're not using Odd-Eyes Magicians, then we use 3 Luster Pendulum. That is such a given. This card is so broken. It is so good. Like, there's no downside to using this card. You just pop your scale and get another card back for free. Like, there's really... Like, I can't actually think of any reason why you wouldn't use this card at 3 in any Pendulum deck now. But, well, other than Odd-Eyes Magicians before, because it's a scale 5, and if you use scale 5, you lock yourself out of your Magicians, basically, if you use it as a low scale with Dragonpit, but if you use it as a high scale with Xiangke or Peasant Dragon, then you lock yourself out of your what's it called, level 7 Odd-Eyes and like Apex Avians and Unicorns, and that's just something I don't want to do, so that's why I don't use Luster Pendulum in Odd-Eyes Magicians. Some people do. I don't agree with it. They can do whatever they want though. It's their decks. Personally, I think it's basically like a vanilla monster in Odd-Eyes Magicians. I would not run this. If I did run it though, like I definitely have to keep 3 Wavering Eyes then, because I mentioned before I wanted to cut it to 1 or 2, but if I ran 3 Luster Pendulum, I'd want 3, just so like between Wavering Eyes and Sky Iris, I'd always have a way to pop it and rebuild my scale. So, well, I'm gonna talk about Majespecters because I don't really own them because they're kind of expensive, but let's talk about them for a bit. If you play Majespecter Magicians, then you essentially take out most of the Odd-Eyes portion. I say most. Things I would take out are this card, because it doesn't really have a purpose anymore since you're not really making Ebon Illusion Magician. And you would add in the 3rd card I told you about before, I forgot its name, Majespecter Unicorn. What you'd want to do is you'd obviously take out the Denko too, and personally I would not put in Apex Avians because now I can see where inconsistencies might just start to come in, because you're gonna run Luster Pendulum in this deck. Luster Pendulum will lock you out of Apex Avian if you choose to use some Majespecters. As for the Majespecters we use the basic Magician core, so 3 Pendulum Call, Xiangke, that's 4 cards, Dragonpit 7, Oafdragon 10, Wisdom Eye 13, Pendulum Joker, Performage Skullcrack Joker would be I forgot, I lost count, sorry, but it's less than 20, so you could very easily add in like the last unicorns, like 3 unicorns, 3 foxes, maybe even 2 foxes, 3 or 2, like, so let's say 3, like being generous with numbers. Sorry. I wouldn't use any of the other Majespecters anymore because they're all kind of bad, honestly. 3 unicorns, 3 foxes, 3 raccoons. Then let's say 3 of the counter trap, I think it's Tempest, and 1 of the sorry, what is it called again? One of the Tornado. Tornado is the one that vanishes. And that's about, I think, 13 cards. Put in 3 Luster Pendulums, 3 Wavering Eyes. That's 19 cards, so that's the other half of your deck. I'm pretty sure you'll still have some space left with whatever you want, like Mystical Space Typhoons, Torrentials, Solemns, whatever. That can be like the remaining space. Honestly, if you're using, I said this was core for any Magician deck before, but honestly, if you're not using Odd-Eyes Magicians and you're using Majespecters, they sort of become reliant on their normal summon because they can normal summon like Fox to search out, they can normal summon Raccoon to search out Fox, and then Pendulum summon them later on. So I would actually take these out if you're low on space when building Majespecter Magicians. I could also see you taking out Dragonpit, oddly enough, because even though it's a skill 8, it's not that useful in Majespecter Magicians. Because, well, as a high scale, maybe, like, I might leave it in, but, like, as a high scale, it sort of just locks you. If you use it, then you can't use Luster Pendulum anymore, or any of your scale 5 Majespecters. So, if you run a low on space, I'd recommend cutting out Joker and Dragonpit, because those are the two cards I explained why a while ago. That would not have much synergy with the other Majespecter cards. I've seen some interesting text before. Like, for example, people would run Sky Iris, Odd-Eyes Fusion, and Odd-Eyes Pendulum Dragon. I don't know how much of these they run. Usually, like, it's like one or two of Sky Dragon, of a Dragon, and one, like, Sky Iris. What people would do was they'd pop their scales for Sky Iris. This is more for, like, some people do this in Majespecters. I don't understand why, but, like, I've seen this. It's mainly for Performages. Like, you would use Sky Iris, pop Plush Fire, add in one of your Odd-Eyes cards, either Fusion or Pendulum Dragon. I wouldn't do this because I don't like having, like, so little extra deck space. And then you could summon Juggler, do something with Juggler, like Exceed it or something, banish it, and then you get to add your Scale Mirror Conductor. Sorry. So that's something I've seen with Performage. You can do that with Majespecters too, technically. I wouldn't know why. And obviously, if you're playing Majespecter Magicians, then you change your extra deck accordingly. Like, obviously, you stop running the rank 7s and stuff. Your rank 6s are still good because of Majespecter Unicorn and Peasant Dragon. Obviously, if you're going to take out Dragonpit, you don't want to run Ebon Illusion anymore because you ran out of normal monsters. That's about all I can say about Majespecter Magicians, though. It's not that different. Like, Majespecters are just the 4 traps. The 9 monsters. I think it was 9. Yeah. So it's like 13 cards. And then obviously you're going to run Luster Pendulum because that's any Pendulum deck, basically, that summons level 4s because of its CO5. So, yeah. I don't know what else to say about that. But onto my favorite. I think this is the one that until Performages and Pals or Pepe or EM or M&M, whatever you want to call it, comes out, this will be the best build. We take the exact same, like, cards I showed you before, like the cards I actually owned. The 3 Luster Pendulums, 3 Pendulum Calls, Xiangke, so that's 7 cards. 3 Oafdragons for 10 cards. 3 Wisdom Eye for 13. And I don't know about the rest. I'll have to think about it a bit more later on. But, like, for sure, these 13 cards. And I think it was 13. Yeah, 13. You add in your Performages, the 3 damage juggler, so 16 cards. At least 2 Mirror Conductors, 15 cards. 3 Plush Fires, so 18 cards. Trick Clown for 19 cards. Maybe you add one a second Trick Clown for some reason, that's fine too, so 20 cards. Then 1 or 2 Hat Trickers for 22 cards. Personally, I prefer Hat Trigger because you can just special summon it whenever for rank 4s. You might disagree or agree. It's your deck, I mean, go for it, whatever you want. And some different, obviously you run different Xyz monsters, like, for example, this one's also good for Majespecters. It's Magister Paladin. It adds a lot more consistency to this deck, because if you want Draco Slayer, Luster Pendulum in your hand all the time. And Majespecters in general are just kind of inconsistent, so that's why I'd run Magister Paladin in them to get your Majespecter cards. And, well, it doesn't really work right now, but here they are. Cyber Dragon, Nova, Ptolemaeus, and soon to be Infinity. For now, though, I'd say instead of Nova, run Tiras and or Pleiades, whichever one you like better. Personally, I like running both because Ptolemaeus, they try to Raigeki me or destroy it or something, rank up into Tiras. It's really good. There's some other rank 4s like Deltaros. For Majespecter Magicians, you'll want, what's it called again? Sorry. Lightning Chidori, and Totem Bird. So, because they're all wind attributes, and those cards are definitely really good. I'm trying to think of what else you can run, but I can't really think of anything. Sorry, my video split in half right here because the time that I'm on Android. I'll put them back together in the editing though, so should be okay. I do have some text for my what's it called, deck, my Performage build. So I am planning to build the tier 0 Pepe when it comes out. So we run. So until we get Notice, we only have these 3 traps. Even after Notice comes out, I would still run them. Treacherous Trap Hole, Time Space Trap Hole, and Bottomless Trap Hole. Time Space because it fucks with Pendulum summons. You only get once per turn. So games are decided so fast that stopping one Pendulum summon will be all you need. That's basically the reason why. If they summon something ridiculous from the extra deck, it stops this too. Treacherous Trap Hole, Rafflesia will exist in Bosch. So this will always be live. Right now though, I would not use Treacherous Trap Hole because it's just not that good at the moment. It's only good if you like have it in as the only trap card in your deck, because otherwise you run the risk of drawing into it while you already used the trap card. Bottomless Trap Hole is really good because, well, I already told you, I like mass destruction cards, but the reason I didn't use it in my Magicians deck was because I just didn't have enough space. There will be enough space in Performages and Pals and M&M. They're really consistent. They can go up to like 45 cards consistently. I've heard other YouTubers say up to 43. I've tested them. Up to 45 was still really consistent for me. It'll be even better when Rafflesia comes out. So you have 3 targets in total. You always want to send Treacherous Trap Hole first for Rafflesia. Just because, like, why not? Like, it's really rare that your opponent will just Pendulum Summon 5 from the get-go and give you a chance to, like, go huge plus from Bottomless. Or just, like, summon 1 card from Treacherous. Or 1 card from the extra deck so you can time space it or something. You're, like, usually they're going to summon, like, what's their standard play? I'm trying to think right now. They're going to summon, like, I don't know. They're going to summon Skullcrabat, or they're going to summon Trick Clown, and then Hat Tricker and Gigabyte, or like pop Plush Fire with Luster Pendulum, summon Performage, and special summon Hat Tricker from the hand. Treacherous Trap Hole, that's when you want to use it. It is once per turn though, so be very careful how you use it. Don't like just Trap Hole the very first 2 things you see. You want to be careful how you use it. Like, I don't have a problem with PP plussing because they're gonna plus anyway. If you try to out plus PP, it's not gonna work. They have so much advantage even from being destroyed that trying to plus off destroying them, it just seems like an all-around bad idea to me. Like, you want to destroy them to disrupt their plays, not to plus off them. If they can't play the game, that's how you beat Pepe. If you try to like out advantage them, you're gonna fail really badly. You either want to win as fast as you can or stop them from doing anything at all. Because if you can't do that, then you kind of lose. I side deck Breaker still. Yeah, same reason as I did in Magicians, pure. Now time for some hot text, okay? Naturia Beast and Glow Up Bulb. Oh my god, are these fun to resolve in the mirror. Rest in peace, Lava Volchain, because that would have made this so better. Hat Tricker is an Earth type, so you can tune Glow Up Bulb with Hat Tricker and make Naturia Beast and just blow out a Pendulum Mirror match if they don't have like stuff to make Castel or something. Even if they make Castel, if you have Valor, then you can fuck them really badly, and it's just a blowout in the mirror match. Performage Pendulum Sorcerer, I think is the name, comes out in Bosch, and that is also an Earth type and a very easy to summon Earth type, and that's another very good tuning target. The best though, it's not really likely, but if you like Mill Damage Juggler or a Trick Clown with Glow Up Bulb, then you go even more plus, and it's just amazing. Like, I might take it out, but like for now, this is such a cool card to use in this deck that I'm just gonna leave it in and see how it does before making any final judgments. All I can say is it's inconsistent. It's so inconsistent because like this one card is unsearchable except by Foolish Burial, which I should probably add to this deck at one point. But well, it's not like it's playable now, right? Like, well, the concept of the deck is playable. Like, my deck isn't playable because I don't have all the cards for it yet. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Like, that's pretty much all I have to say about the decks and the text you can use. Glow Up Bulb. I don't know how I feel about it. Like, I love the card, but I'll be the first to admit it is such a horrible choice because it's so inconsistent and like you never want to like you want to draw out of a perfect hand. If you draw out of a perfect hand, it is an amazing card. If you don't draw out of a perfect hand, at best you're getting a Churia Beast and maybe it might live one turn. So that was it for my deck profile on Odd-Eyes Magicians and a commentary about all the different techs I used. Leave some suggestions for me because I'm still finalizing the ratios. I still don't know what is the best. These are what I think is the best. I don't know if it actually is the best. So tell me your thoughts on the matter. And yeah, signing out.